Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, as the title says, is all about some investments that absolutely blew my mind. Now, I know that sounds like a bit of overkill, but some of these investments over the last 6 months, even myself, I look back and I went, wow, they actually went up that much in 6 months. It's been a crazy ride for a lot of Pokemon card investments. So that's what this video is all about. We're going to look at some singles and some sealed products that have just gone bang over the last 6 months. Now, I want to premise this whole video around the notion of, I'm not going to be one of those content creators that comes here and goes, Pokemon investing is the best investment you can possibly park your money into. It's going to outperform X, Y, and Z. Because, yes, it can, but it's not that simple. There's some drawbacks to Pokemon card investing. I've done whole videos on the positives, or pros, I should say, and cons of Pokemon card investing. When it comes to shares, you could buy 200,000 shares of a company with a click of a button, and in 6 months' time, you could possibly sell those, if they have a good rise, for $300,000 at the click of a button. You can't just do that with Pokemon cards. There are drawbacks. I'm not going to sit here and say it is the best investment, but I can tell you one thing, and this is what I really wanted to premise the video on. It's the most fun investment. It becomes a collection in itself. It's something tangible. It's something you can look at. And if you can make gains off it or increase your portfolio, like I've always said 100 times over across a lot of videos, Pokemon card investing is an alternative investment, and it should really account for about 5% of your total portfolio. Maybe you've got a property that maybe you mortgage or own it or put money into it. Maybe you've got shares. Maybe you've got some crypto. Maybe you've got other things, other investments that you put money into. But I really think Pokemon should be 5% of your investment portfolio. And I can tell you one thing, it is the most fun. It is so much fun to invest in Pokemon cards and enjoy the ride. Watch some of them go up. So that's what we're going to jump into now. I'm going to go through a fair few, mostly Sword and Shield cards, but some Scarlet and Violet and sealed product, and show you just how much they've gained in 6 months' time. Starting with the Gengar VMAX, which is a beautiful card. I've done all the sums for you. I've worked out the percentage gains. So in the last 6 months, this card, and these are all in US dollars, has gone from $210 to $355. 69% increase in 6 months. What a beautiful card. And I want to put this one up next, and we'll talk a little bit about Fusion Strike in a second. The Espeon VMAX is edging extremely closely to the Gengar. It's gone from $127 to $339 in 6 months. That's a 167% increase. I've said this a few times, and this is all personal opinion, but in my opinion, the Espeon VMAX is a nicer looking card than the Umbreon VMAX. Will it outperform Umbreon somewhere down the track? Probably not. Do I personally think it's a better looking card? Yes. Some of you guys might well think that as well. Some of you guys might well think, no, it's nowhere near as nice as the Umbreon. I just think the artwork's a bit nicer. I love the sleeping Espeon on top of the house. I just think it's a nicer looking card than the Moonbreon. However, like I said, all personal preference. Isn't it crazy how the Espeon now is starting to rise up very, very close to that Gengar price? I think Espeon's finally getting the love that it deserves. I think people are starting to sit back and maybe get my perspective on and go, wow, that is one hell of a good looking card. And on the back of a lot of singles, and this is where is it, the duck or the egg that come first, or the chicken and the egg, I should say, that come first. The Fusion Strike booster box has gone from $146 to $235. That's a 61% increase in price over the last 6 months. And that begs the question, doesn't it? Is the rise in the singles due to the booster box going up, or is the rise in the booster box going up due to the singles going up? It's like chicken and egg, isn't it? I think both go hand in hand with each other. Another one I wanted to show you, though, is the Umbreon VMAX Trainer Gallery from Brilliant Stars. I know this is on the cheaper end, but it's gone from $22 to $48, 118% increase. I did a video probably 9 months ago outlining a fair few Trainer Gallery cards from the Sword and Shield era that were just bound to go up in price. I felt they were incredibly undervalued, and the moment that supply started to dry up and booster boxes weren't on sale on TCG Player anymore, Pokemon Center anymore, and supply was dwindling for major retailers and also on eBay, that we would see some massive increases on Sword and Shield singles, and in particular a lot of the Trainer Galleries that were at low prices, like $20 Umbreon VMAX Trainer Gallery. That's just a no-brainer, wasn't it? Rayquaza VMAX from Silver Tempest back when it was like 20 bucks. Just a no-brainer. Those cards should have been snavelled up as much as you possibly could. So that's gone up 118%. The other one from Brilliant Stars is the Charizard Alt Art. This was one of those cards that came out of the gate so hot when it was released. And we see this all the time, and I've mentioned this probably 50 times across my videos, is that it's always the same scenario with singles. We saw it on Sun and Moon era, we saw it on Sword and Shield era, and we're likely going to see it on Scarlet and Violet era as well. Card comes out of the gate really hot. Like this Charizard VMAX Alt Art, Charizard V Alt Art, when it first came out, was like $400-500 US. Then it dropped. And 6 months ago, it was down to 116. Now it's back up to 175, which is a 51% increase in the last 6 months. Some people can take or leave this card. I actually think it's the nicest Charizard card from the whole Sword and Shield era. I like it more than, the shiny Charizard VMAX from Shining Fates. I like it more than the Charizard VMAX in Champion's Path and the other Champion's Path Charizard, and of course the Darkness Ablaze Charizard. I just think it's the nicest Charizard from the Sword and Shield era. I really like the old art. I like how we got Venusaur in there. It's a battle scene. It's tick, tick, tick for me. Again, it was a no-brainer that this card was going to regain some of the losses that it took. And then next one I wanted to show you after Charizard is the beautiful Giratina Alt Art. 235 to 450. This has seen a 91% increase in the last 6 months. I'll get down to it in a second, but Magikarp deserves to be on this list as well, which it is. I'll get down to that in a second. Same artist, of course. Those are just both beautiful artworks. And, people will talk about, are they piggybacking each other? The rise in Magikarp, is it pulling up that artist's artwork? Or the rise in Giratina, is that pulling up the Magikarp's artwork? Don't know, but you can't argue the fact that they're not both beautiful artworks, so hats off there. Lost Origin booster box has gone from 142 to 209, so 47% increase. Now, on that, we're about halfway through the list. I just wanted to talk through singles and sealed. So a lot of people look at those and go, well, singles from Fusion Strike have raised more than the booster box. Singles from Brilliant Stars have raised more than the booster box, so the sealed price. Singles like Giratina and Aerodactyl from Lost Origin have raised more, increased more than the sealed booster box. So a lot of people go, singles are a better investment. Personally, I don't think they are. Singles are a lot more volatile. You need to catch the train on the way up, and you better damn well time it right. Otherwise, you can be caught out pretty quickly. A singles versus booster box argument, the booster box is always going to be the safer bet. Yes, we might have seen only a 61% increase in the Fusion Strike booster box compared to 167% increase on the Espeon. But you know what? Espeon could well come back down to earth. Will the booster box ever come back down to earth? No. Why? Because unless there's more supply, it just gets rarer and rarer. More and more get opened, and it gets rarer and rarer. That's just basic supply and demand 101, isn't it? Next one I want to show is the beautiful Blaziken VMAX. I've always been a massive, massive advocate for Chilling Reign, a lot of the alt art bird, the Galarian birds, of course, some of the beautiful artwork. I love the theme of the whole set, and the Blaziken VMAX is an absolute belter. $164 to $380. That's 131% increase in the last 6 months. It now makes it the third most expensive Sword and Shield card. We've got Umbreon. Then we got Rayquaza from Evolving Skies, and Blaziken now sits in third. It's ahead of Gengar from Fusion Strike, and then it's ahead of Espeon VMAX from Fusion Strike. So credit where credit's due. That card's been absolutely pumping the last 6 months. Speaking of Chilling Reign, the Moltres V Alt Art has also been pumping. It's gone from 123 to 177, which is a 44% increase in price over the last 6 months. Arguably, that's the nicest looking, isn't it? I quite like the Zapdos. It's definitely nicer looking than the Articuno by far. The Zapdos and the Moltres are a bit 50-50 for me, as in which one's better. I love that Zapdos, that Roadrunner sort of look to it, but the Moltres V is an absolute beauty, isn't it? So it deserves that 44% increase. And then the Chilling Reign booster box, 150 to 230. It's seen a 53% increase in price over the last 6 months. Can't say we didn't tell you. A lot of people saying, oh, content creators and, you yourself, Pokeballs, have just been pumping Sword and Shield. Did it for a reason. 6 months ago, when we were all saying, buy Sword and Shield singles, buy trainer galleries, buy alt arts, buy cheap alt arts, buy sealed products, booster boxes in Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, Evo Skies, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, buy it, because it ain't getting any cheaper. And look at it now, it's taken some massive, massive gains. Hey, here's a bit of a outlier. Machamp V Alt from Astral Radiance. $83 through to $191. That's a 130% increase in the last 6 months. Some of those Astral Radiance cards have been absolutely pumping, and there's reasons for that. Like the booster box has gone from 127 to 179, 41% increase. You've got things like a few of the trainer gallery cards, of course, like the Starmie and the Garchomp. And then I can tell you now, the Arceus and Dialga, the Origin Form cards, I still think are a little bit undervalued. I can see them go up a little bit in the future. Astral Radiance didn't get, yes, it got a second small wave, so a second reprint, but it didn't get that big reprint or that bigger other wave when Silver Tempest, Scarlet and Violet Base, and Lost Origin picked up a reprint. So arguably it's shorter printed than some of the other Sword and Shield sets. The last three I wanted to show you, a couple of Scarlet and Violet cards. The Magikarp, of course, I said, which I'd mentioned, which has gone from $55 to $126. 129% increase in price over the last 6 months. Is that and Giratina piggybacking each other, given they've got the same artist and they've got the same sort of feel to the card? Is it because it's so hard to grade in a 10, which just means people are shooting for it and going, yep, I want to mint raw copies so I can send it off to get graded and hopefully, 4 or 5x my money? There's lots of reasons it could be shooting up in price. It's also a beautiful looking card, isn't it? So it deserves the accolades it gets. The Groudon from Paradox Rift, just another illustration rare, not a special illustration rare, just an illustration rare, $25 to $61, 144% increase. So other than Espeon VMAX, this is the biggest increase on the list I've got today. And finally, the Altaria EX, which is also just an illustration rare from Paradox Rift, $19 to $42, 121% increase in the last 6 months. It's really, really nice to see some Scarlet and Violet cards taking early gains. Now, these could get squashed back down to earth a little bit if we see reprints, which I think will likely come in September, October this year. We've got to wait and see, of course. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but there's every chance it could. If that does happen, I think we might see a Paldea. I think we might see an Obsidian. I think we might see a Paradox. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they're not big reprints. Hopefully, it's not the full kit and caboodle of, blister packs, 3-pack blisters, ETBs. Everyone bags me out the way I say that. I think that's my Australian accent, booster boxes. Hopefully it's not the whole shooting match. Hopefully it's just an Elite Trainer box sort of reprint, but I'm sure there'll be some booster boxes as well. We'll see what happens come this September, October. Might squash some of those Scarlet and Violet cards back down to earth as we get more supply opened. But hey, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the world's best investment. If you don't invest in Pokemon, you're missing out. But it is the most funnest investment. If you've got 5% of your net worth tied up in Pokemon and you can have a heap of fun with it and recognize some super gains with it, it's the fun part of your investment portfolio. So there you go. Those actually surprised me, all those cards, how much they've gained in the last 6 months. I'm Michael. This is PokeOz. Catch everyone next time.